Hello, everybody. Welcome to our partner presentation today for Algonomia. We are going to wait a few minutes for everybody to connect to the call, and then we're going to start. Then we're going to wait a few minutes for everybody to arrive. And most of the participants are present. We are going to launch the presentation. Okay. So let's start, and the people who arrive a bit later will have the time to catch back. So, hi everybody, my name is Walid Eljaafari, and welcome to this partner webinar. The main objective of today is to introduce to you Algonomia and our digital solutions for tax departments, and to see how we could address your client needs together and help them digitize their tax departments, and also how you can be a big part of this process. So just to go back on why there is a need for technological changes in tax departments. The first point is that, again, this is a market where a lot of groups have a lot of rules to tackle. They have a lot of technical barriers because they can be very complicated. And there is a lot of innovation that still needs to be performed, whether it be through sheer algorithmic creations or using the newest technology like LLMs. On the other side, it's a sector where a lot of changes are happening because, again, the ERPs that are used in a lot of groups are very static, do not allow a lot of changes, and it's very complicated for these groups to transform and adapt with the speed of changes that you can see within organizations. So these ERPs are quite static, and taxation moves fast. And so having solutions like ours is really important to help them adapt to these changes. And finally, well, it's a market where there is a lot of innovation currently, and a lot of groups want to be part of this evolution. This is a market where most of the professionals are highly skilled in taxation and finance, but they don't have the ability to tap directly into the tax technology that can be available. So being there for them and being able to propose technical solutions that will allow to solve the main difficulties that we talked a bit earlier is something that will create value for them. And it's also an area where there is a lot of technological deficit because of the technicity of tax. A lot of the innovation was focused on finance, accounting, and a lot less on tax. So there is a lot to be done, a lot of processes to be transformed. A lot of them are still dominated by Excel. So there is a lot of potential to create value within these multinational companies using technologies. So right now is the right moment to try and propose these offers of digital transformation for the tax department. At Algonomia, we have a team that is very aligned with this need, because our team is at this intersection between the business knowledge in taxation, the technological knowledge with science, algorithmics, mathematics, and also this capability of creating user-friendly experiences and software. And that's key, because by combining all of these capabilities, we are able to propose technical solutions that are usable by the tax departments, will create value, and also are qualitative enough to be integrated as long-term projects and long-term processes within our clients. So right now, as we have said a bit earlier, there are a lot of drivers that require our clients to change. I'm going to focus a bit more on these different aspects, but as you've seen in the recent years, there are a lot of international tax law that are coming, and a lot of groups need to adapt. And some of these groups, they are not used to have so many changes to be tackled for in taxation at the same time. The other implication from these changes is that there is a lot more scrutiny on the data quality that they have. And so you need to be able to propose to them changes in their processes to meet these regulatory changes. Then you also have the fact that a lot of the internal finance departments are involved in a lot of changes. A lot of the digitalization wave happened a few years ago with all of the business analytics changes, all of the BI changes that were applied only to the finance department and a lot less to the tax department. And so from the point of view of the CFO, well, the tax department is a bit lacking, a bit less equipped, and they are required internally to make these changes. So there is something to be done here to meet the needs of our counterparts internally. Then right now, since we have created Algonomia, what we have seen is that progressively, thanks to these changes in the IT department and the IT finance department, it's now a lot more easy to get access to the data that we need for tax, even though it's not perfect. Right now, it starts to be a bit easier to get the data that we need from the consolidation team, from the ERP system. And so now it's easier to connect tax softwares directly to the systems and use this data. And also the culture has moved a bit. If we were looking at these processes in the 2010s, everybody was trying to do everything in Excel, but nowadays everything is trying to implement long-term technological processes. So there is a readiness within the groups. And on the other side, there is an important force at play within groups, is that there are not enough people to manage tax in the tax departments. With all of the regulatory pressure, the tax department needs to hire new people to tackle these problems. And they also have skill shortages, because you need to find a lot of people that are at the intersection of extreme technical skills in taxation and also the ability to understand the data structure in the finance department. And so by having the ability to analyze this intersection, understand the internal financial processes, as well as how they need to be transformed to tackle the regulatory process, well, by doing this, you're able to create a lot of value for the groups, because they need to be able to do that themselves to adapt to all of the regulatory changes. And all of these drivers are key in order to understand why so many investments are being made in tax tech right now. It's an area where there is a lot of development, and Algonomia is one of the first players since 2017 and one of the first player that has worked with so many big multinational companies tackling this type of issues on worldwide scales with groups that have more than several thousand entities at the same time. In terms of understanding this tax tech market, because it's important to see that a lot of changes are projected, the market for the implementation of tax technology is expected to grow from 2023 to 2034 from less than around €500 million in France and 16 billion euro worldwide to 1.6 billion euro in France and more than 50 billion euro worldwide. And this growth will not be done only by the tax tech solutions on their own. It needs to be implemented. It needs to be installed within the companies, and tax departments, as I expressed earlier, they have this issue of talent shortage and difficulties hiring enough people to tackle all of these regulatory changes. So there is space here for a lot of integration work to be done to create this value for our potential clients. Now let's talk a bit more about Algonomia and why we consider ourselves as the best opportunity for this. The world of tax is a bit outside of the innovation, sadly, and it has been the case for a long time, but there are a lot of players who are investing in this type of technology. I designed this graph to try and explain what are the main organizations and structures in this tax tech market. So first, what you need to understand is that the main competitor that any tax tech solution has is not another tax tech solution, it's Excel, because a lot of the internal processes and even the internal tax processes are performed using Excel within groups. And it is not always absurd to do so. In Algonomia, when we do some of our tax computation for our single entity or a little scope, well, yeah, we can do it in Excel. But even that can be risky because it means that we need to know the formulas ourselves and so on. And if you look beyond, if you have several thousand entities and you need to have an integrated process where hundreds of people are supposed to contribute to shared documents, and you need to then aggregate this data and then have a auditable process to gather this data and then produce tax information that will have an impact, a direct impact on your net profitability. It cannot be performed in Excel anymore because it is not auditable and error-proof enough. And so a lot of solution exists to do that. Most of the time, financial data is managed in traditional ERP systems, and some of the ERP systems are tackling tax issues like Cegid in France, for example, where you're able to produce your tax filings. But it's really only that, producing the financial reporting and then producing the tax filings. Some other traditional tax filing tools go a bit further and will also tackle some tax accounting processes, meaning managing how the taxation will affect all of this financial reporting. And then on the other side, what you can see is a lot of solutions dedicated to tax. So they don't come from this environment of software that were mainly focused on financial reporting. They have been designed starting from the tax issue in order to one by one treat some of the tax processes that exist, like the TP documentation, the operational TP computation, and so on. And so there exists some other companies that work on these issues. And the last environment that exists are all of the native, as I would like to say, solutions that multinational companies have and or tend to try to use before trying to buy an external solution, because there is always this divide between make and or buy. And when they want to make internally, they try to use solutions like Power BI, Power Apps, Tableau, and the problem is that these are not ready and made to tackle the complexity of tax computation. And so this is where Algonomia takes this place as a composite, if you want, where at the same time we're able to gather data in a very natural manner from all of this consolidation tool and financial reporting systems, and we're able to act as a tax accounting solution. And at the same time, we have designed our software to be able to feed most of the use cases that an international tax department needs to treat with regard to international tax problems. So transfer pricing, BEPS issues, Pillar 2, and so on. And so this is where we are a bit different. We have the ability to aggregate most of the international tax processes in one place. And the other important component that we have, and that is a very big differentiator between Algonomia and some of our other solutions, is that our purpose is not to create a dependency in terms of implementation. In the past, when we were working in our past experiences with some of our team members, we encountered problematic processes where our clients had, every time they wanted to make a slight change in the configuration of their solution, they had to go back to the service provider and ask to make these changes against a lot more money. And so the way that we have built our solutions is that for most of the changes that they may want to perform in their configuration, in the way that everything is set up for the group, they are able to do it on their own. And this translates into two things. There is a lot of administrative functions, managing the rights, managing the perimeter, the scope of the group, and this type of things. And there is also managing the tax choices that have been made as a configuration within the software. And in the case of the solution that we propose, both can be managed directly in-app by people who are trained for it. Whether it's the clients directly, so the end users within the multinational companies, if you want, who want to take on this administration role, they can do it. They're free to do it, and we are there to support them doing that. And on the other side, any integrator, any third party who wants to provide this type of services, who wants to do consulting on what are the best tax choices to be done using our solution, they can also be in charge of this integration. And this is where there is a lot of space for any integrator with our solutions, is that you can be autonomous in the delivery of value during the setup of our tool. So just to be a bit more precise on what we offer, we have built our solution ecosystem around two main pillars. On the left, you can see the platform, Leaf platform. Its purpose is to be able to gather data in an auditable manner and along a structured workflow. So basically, you want to be able to know who is collecting what data point when. You want it to follow the validation sequence that corresponds to the needs of the group. And you want to be able to assign tasks of data collection to people anywhere in the world according to the needs that you have. And that's very agnostic, so you can organize any type of process to collect data. And on the other side, you have several applications. They are not all listed here, but they're available on our website. And so this list of applications, they allow our clients to tackle, using the data that they've collected with the platform, a lot of the international tax use cases that our clients may face. So to go a bit deeper on how our platform works, as I explained, it's a data hub. Okay, so you can collect data either through Excel imports, through ERP connectors, you can attach files and documents, and you can build questionnaire forms with decision trees to collect the data points that are pertinent to the data collection process that you're building. On the other side, you also have the ability to organize this data collection along a workflow. And that is key because sometimes you want to have people contribute at specific time slots. I don't know, every semester, every trimester, and you want them to collect a specific data set, or sometimes you want them to review elements that have been collected during ERP connectors and complete or correct them. Or sometimes you want to follow the tax due dates and the tax calendar that you have identified, and you want them to be very, very thorough, and you want to be able to send reminders. All of this can be organized in the Leaf platform. And once you have this, all of this information becomes available for the application. In terms of use cases we treat, I talked about that a little bit, but I'm going to be a bit more precise. We are mainly focused on the international tax department. So we don't tackle the filing of local direct tax obligations like the impôt sur les sociétés in France. We don't do that. What we focus on are transfer pricing processes, whether it is automating the operational TP computations, automating the TP adjustments, allowing using this data that you use for automation to run simulations and tax impact analysis when you reorganize the group, when you change the benchmarks, when, for example, you change the counterparts in the transactions, or you change the profile of some entities. All of this can be performed in our ATP Leaf solution. A lot of our clients also are trying to automate their TP doc processes. So basically, you gather data from your ERP systems, and you're able to inject them in a standardized or in several different standardized TP doc templates, and then fill them in with this data that you've collected, and finally let the end users complete the information or make changes in an auditable and trackable manner. And once you have this information, everything is stored securely and stays auditable for several years. Then we have all of the BEPS issues, so the CBCR and the Pillar 2. And CBCR is a problem that we are tackling for several years now, because some of our clients, when they want to reach the level of quality of a qualified CBCR, they need to gather data from the consolidation tool, some from the statutory informations, some they need to gather informations also from the HR management tool or from the legal management tool, gather all of this information, have some modifications and corrections passed by some users, or gathering extra information that is not available. For CBCR, we are then able to either analyze the risk linked to the CBCR. Starting in January, you will be with the same application be able to produce the public CBCRs that may be required. And for Pillar 2, you have complex computations that may be necessary. The bigger the group that you're working with, the more complex the computations will get. So if you are between 50 entities in the group and 100, it can still be managed with a sound mind if you want. But if you reach several thousand entities in the multinational company that you're working with, then you need a computation solution in order to compute the Pillar 2 calculation. And then after that, we have solutions that help manage all of the internal tax processes that are linked to tax accounting, so managing risks, audits, controlling, being able to derive the provisions, and also on the other side, an application that is dedicated to monitoring the tax footprint of the group and generating reports, either internal or for the ESG processes. And finally, two applications that are dedicated to managing the tax reporting, so the management of deferred taxes and the analysis of the tax proof. So all of these solutions, they can work in a combined fashion, meaning data can be used in several applications at once, and at the same time, they all feed from the platform. So you have one central place where all of these international tax processes can be managed at once for the entire tax team. So now that I have explained what are the needs of our clients and prospects, and I have described what is the value that you can offer using the software that we propose. So what work is there to be performed in order to bring this value to our clients? So in terms of software, what it means to buy our software as a service, it means that you can use the applications against a yearly recurring fee. This includes the use, of course, the hosting of the application on dedicated servers with the highest level of security. Most of the time, we are being challenged by the client we work with because they want to know what are the security measures that we put in place. And next to that, you have the administrator support, meaning if someone wants to make a change somewhere, instead of having to pay us to do it, we are there. We have dedicated people in our team to help them do these changes on their own. And of course, if you work with us, this administrator support will apply to you for the client that we work with. There is included an initial training for these administrators so that they know what they have to do. And there is what we call evolutionary maintenance. It means that every time that we add value to our software, you don't have to pay more. It's included in the software update that is launched. Of course, if it's a different software that we create, it's not going to be included. But for example, we added some generative AI features in the solutions that were already used by some of our clients, and it came at no cost to them. Now, with regard to the setup, for some of our clients, we have been working with them to perform the setup, but we have a lot of flexibility in the way we organize ourselves. If you work in an IT integration team, you have the ability to perform the setup from A to Z on your own. And this can be the project that you bring to the client. And this can be decomposed from the integrator doing everything to the integrator only doing the tax consultancy part that we as Algonomia will never do. We are not a TP consulting firm, we're not a tax strategy firm, and we don't provide any legal audit or legal support. That will always be the role of tax advisors for our clients. But if you're a tax advisor and you cannot do any of the IT integration, we can still work together to try and bring this value to the clients. And we have internal teams to work on the setup. On the other hand, if you are an IT integration team and you want to take charge of most of these elements, so identifying the data structure of the client, seeing how you want to transform the processes, performing the change and training processes, and installing the solution for the client, we can also teach you how to do that and let you perform these actions on your side. So just to give you some examples of projects that we have had the chance to work on in the past. So we have been able to do all of these different ways together with some of our partners. So in terms of direct sales, we have been able to sell directly and implement directly our solution with a lot of groups. So 3 from the CAC 40 in France, some of them a major company, and some also companies from outside of France. We've also have had our solution sold completely by a third-party integrator. In this case, it has been sold by Deloitte to Renault Group and Schneider Electric. So they were at the forefront of the value proposition to the client, and they delegated to us only the integration part. Okay, and they were the one doing the tax advisory, doing the tax consultancy, doing the data analysis and the structure analysis. They were sending us the specifications to be implemented, and then we implemented the specification, and now we only perform the administrative support. And with other clients, it was a bit different because in this case, we sold with an integrator. So basically, it was not sold by the integrator, but we approached the client together, where in this case, the partner was selling his component of the offer and we were selling our component So there's the software as a service offering and the the part of the integration that we needed to implement. And finally, this is the latest way that we have approached selling our solution. It was through a direct sell with partnership, where we were the one selling the value proposition to the client, and we are reselling some of the tax advisory from our partner. So you see there are a lot of ways that we can work with partners, and if you want to work with us, you really need to think about what is the best way to bring this value to the client, and what me as an integrator or tax advisor, what can I bring in terms of value, and what would I need Algonomia to be performing. Now, why is it interesting to partner with us compared to some others? So the first interesting element is that if you work with us, we will build together a way for you to derive recurring commissions from these projects that you would be able to sell with us. I know I will show that to you a bit later, but at some point, if you are able to sell several of our applications to different clients, you will derive a percentage, not a very big one, of course, but a significant one of this recurring revenue in terms of commission. Then on the other side, it will also allow you to enhance your client loyalty, because as soon as you have been the one implementing our solution within this client and they want to create specific changes or reorganize, well, because you may have been the one advising on how to use it, you will be able to create more interactions and more business with this new client. In terms of market differentiation, as you have seen, we are at this intersection where not a lot of other group and tax tech are positioning themselves, meaning that you have the ability to sell several use cases at once in a centralized place with the cutting edge technology in terms of algorithm and AI-powered elements that are not among the 95% of these projects that are useless because they're already in production. And finally, because we will be able to handle all of the technological components and provide this administrative support, in terms of effort from your side, you can focus on your actual expertise. If you're a tax advisor, you can focus on the tax advisory part, following the TP-Doc standards, following the benchmark quality, following and all of these elements, following the methodologies in tax, and just ensuring that they're implemented in the way that you see fit with your client without having to think about the technological part of it, because that's part of the subscription fee that the client will pay with our solution. So in terms of partnering, the way that we have tried to segment the type of partnership that we can have is, first, you can be someone who has a lot of contacts within M&Es and who has identified a value need for a given client, and you're able to make this type of introduction, but you will not be part of the delivery per se. In this case, there is a first layer of interest that we can bring to such a partner. The second way that we can work together is the way I described earlier, where you would perform part of the solution delivery, either through tax advisory or integration, and then we would collaborate together to deliver this. And so we have done that many times with Deloitte in France. And finally, maybe you want to be able to do joint pitches with the clients, to go together address these clients. And that's also something that we know how to do and that we are willing to do. And most of the times we do that in the context of proof of concept, meaning that we build a first mock-up of the target process so that the client is able to project itself in the long-term solution that we propose. We also have created a kind of ladder, meaning that if it's your first sale with us, the level of interest that we will propose will be a bit standard. But what we want is that we wish that you will be able to sell more and more. So the level of interest that we propose to our partners grows with the revenue that they will be able to generate. And so here you have the final structure that we have come up with in terms of interest. And so it's divided into a part of the year one recurring fee, and for the premium and the strategic level, it will be also every year part of the recurring fee. So, for example, if you introduce us to a new client and we're able to perform the sale, but not really without your help, we would give you, if we sell a 100,000 euro yearly subscription fee, which is on the lower hand of what we have done so far, then it means that you would get 5%, so 5,000 euro as a base revenue. But if you are either in the premium on the strategic, it would grow to 10% or 15%, and every year you can derive a 1% or 2.5% fee. You need to understand that some of our clients have up to 300,000 euro a year of recurring subscription fee. So if you're in the premium, it means that it can reach up to 30,000 euro just for the introduction in the premium level. And it means also that you're building up a recurring fee and a recurring advantage of 3,000 euro a year. And this goes up the more that you're involved with us in terms of sales. So now if you go, if you are the one selling completely the solution, and at the same time, you don't need us to perform this sale, and you will derive at the premium level 40% and at the strategic level 50% of this initial year of the recurring fee, and then 12% here and 7.5% in the premium every year. This even grows more if you do both the sale and the integration, meaning that you know how to do to perform all of the integration tasks. And so at the strategic level, it means that at the first year, you will derive most of the value and you will bring home, if you want, 75% of the recurring fee. And on a yearly basis, if we are still on this 300,000 example, you will derive 60,000 a year for selling such a process. Okay? So it has been built, as I explained, to be growing in this direction, meaning the more that you are doing and the more that you have done, the big in selling our solution. Finally, just a final slide to show to you who is currently working with us. So we have had partnerships either with our clients, of course, on one side, but also with Deloitte in France, Fidal, we have built a study with them in the past, and also with Algonomia, because we like to publish content for our clients and prospects. So I'm finished with the presentation. I will read some of the questions that you may have asked in the chat and try to give the clearest possible answer. So just an answer to Lindsay, yes, the recording will be made public on our YouTube channel, and you will have access to the slides as well. So don't hesitate to ask as many questions as you want, and maybe ask me to go back on some of the slides if you want. No questions? I will wait 1 more minute to give you the time to type a question. If there is no question, don't hesitate to contact me after the webinar if you want to have a more dedicated meeting on the topic. So here I see a question. Can you please type it in the chat? Thank you, Stefan, for the remark. Okay. I think someone raised the hand, but I don't see the question in the chat. So it's a very interesting question. So is this available only for the EU or for the entire world? So for us, there is no physical limitation in how we will perform our services. It's just that we are based in Europe, so we may have some difficulties attending some meeting in person if the clients that you want to work with are located in other parts of the globe, but we don't have any constraints in the location where we will perform our services. So there is no constraints in terms of where your client is based or where you are based. There is a bit more time for questions. Okay. So as I see that there is no more question, I'm gonna conclude the presentation. Thanks to all of you to have joined us today. The slides as well as the YouTube, the replay will be available either on LinkedIn or on YouTube. And do not hesitate to contact us directly if you want to move forward on this type of partnership or if you want to start working on some of our clients. Perfect. So I'm going to say goodbye to all of you and have a nice day.